Hello everybody, my name is Jay. I'm a professional poker player based in London and I'm also a poker coach. Please check my website if you want more information. Here is the website poker-coach.net. Um, as you can hear, I'm not a native English speaker as I come from another part of the world, so please forgive my English mistakes and bad accent. I'll try to do my best, but you know. Anyway, as I'm coaching poker to my students in English, Spanish, and French, this video will let you know more about my poker skills, but also about my English language, in case you might be interested by my coaching offers. So once again, please check my website if you want to contact me, poker-coach.net. So today we're gonna review together a heads-up match, a poker, no limit hold'em poker, of course, video. It's an online heads-up match on the iPoker network. It's a 400 euros table. I played it a few weeks ago, so I can't remember it exactly, but I think we're gonna see that together and everything's gonna be okay. So we started. The opponent is a regular player, which means that he's some sort of professional poker player. We've got King 10. He open min raises his button. We call, we flop top pair on a very dry board. King 3-3, we say hello because we're polite. He says hi. Seems like a good start. We river top 2 pair, but well, he checked the turn, so I think he's gonna be pretty weak and his hand looks like he's got nothing, so we value bet it. 20 euros in a 33 euro spot, but he falls. I guess he had nothing. It's gonna be hard to be called, to get a call there. We open 8-5 and the 3 bets. Before the beginning of this video, we had played a few hands with Marlou, something like 12 hands or something, and he had 3 betted us a lot. So I think he might be an aggressive player, and I think he's going to 3 bet a lot. Look, he continues 3 betting. So my strategy will be to open min raise my buttons so that he can get he can get a risk reward ratio too good. I mean, I want to diminish his risk reward ratio. So now he continuously 3 bet us during the 3 or 4 last time we had the button. So I'm gonna do something, and well, there are several kind of things that we might do. I'm gonna stop it now, just make it on pause. When an opponent is aggressive and when he 3 bets us a lot, there are several ways that we can adjust, we can adapt ourselves. First, we can 4 bet light, 4 bet him as a bluff with nothing. I could have done that with my Jack 7, but I thought that he might expect me to do so. So I just called, and I thought I might go for an expert move, which would mean floating him on the flop. And look what he's doing on turn, and truth there, what my strategy would be. So he c-bets, he continuation bets. On the flop, a very dry flop, 9-3-3. I would expect any hand to 3-bet there. He's made hands, but also is nothing. And now let's see what he's doing on the turn. Of course, to make sure you understand my strategy, when I call on the flop and when I call before the flop and when I call on the flop, my goal is not to hit a 7 or a jack. My goal is to see what he's going to do and to take the advantage of his weakness. And on the turn, it thinks about it and will he check, will he bet? Well, he thinks a lot about it and he bets. He bets half pot. There's an information there. He's betting half pot. This means that he's not building the pot. If he wants if he's confident in his hand, if he thinks he's got a good made hand, his aim should be to build the pot so that he could go all in at the river, and this would imply that he should have bet much more on the turn, because now if I call, well, now the pot is 162 euros. If I call this bet, it will be 210 euros, and his remaining stack is 319 euros. So he won't be able to go all in on the river without making another bet. And that's not what you want to do when you've got a made hand. You want to build the pot on the turn so that the river bet allows you to go all in, but without overbetting the flop and scaring your opponent. So I thought this bet was weak, and maybe he had a maiden, but I thought that this maiden would have been pretty weak, or he's got nothing, and most of the time he's gonna have nothing, because let's remember that he's 3-betting almost all his hands. Well, until now he has 3-bets all his hands. So I call, and once again my goal is not to hit a jack or a 7 at the river. And now here's the queen, which is a bad river card. Why is it a good river card? Sorry. Why is it a good river card? Because it's an overcard. The queen is over the 9, and this might let him think that he still has some fold equity. If he bets now, he might think, oh god, he's got a queen, maybe he's got a queen. I represent, in this hand, I represent something like pair of 8s, 2 jacks maybe, because pair of queens I would have 4-bet it pre-flop, before the flop. Well, yeah, I represent something between a pair of 6s and a pair of 9. So he might be inclined to 3-barrel with any hand, whatever the hand he's got, because I might think, oh god, I've got pair of 8 and it's 3-barreling, so he's probably having at least a pair of 9s, maybe now queen, so I'm gonna fold. And so that's one thing, one reason why the queen is a good card, because he might bet. The other thing is that I might might make him fold even if he's got something like a 9. If he bets or if he checks, if I bet myself, he could fold, and he bets. So now you see, well, I've been very quick because that was my plan, and when you've got a plan you've got to follow it unless there's a very good reason not to follow it. So E3 barrels half pot. The pot is 214 euros, is betting 100, which is not even half pot, a bit less. So my plan was to look for his weakness signals and exploit it by putting pressure. So now, as you see, my goal will be to re-raise him, and well, with this stacks, with this pot size, with the remaining stacks, it's gonna mean go in. And that's what I did, and he folded. He folded, yeah, pretty quickly, so I think he had nothing, absolutely nothing. So yeah, that's one way to adjust to the aggressive opponents. Hit 4. I open min raise, I fold because it's a rag hand. It's got no value. Jack 9. I can defend it, but I prefer attacking, 3-betting him. King 3, I open min raise, and I flop. Good flush draw, second nut flush draw with my king high. I wrote a note, a player note about him. I was wondering if an half pot bet didn't mean a bluff, with what we've seen during the previous hand. Now he leads the turn, it's very strange. What does he represent? I only call. I might have raised him, but I didn't want to. He seems to be pretty bluffy, so I didn't want to scare him too much. I only called, but if you only call the turn, it's gonna be hard to build a pot. And now it checks the river, and I wanna value bet it, of course. I've got the flush, the second nuts. I bet pot in order to look like I want to steal the pot. But well, he folds. Maybe he had second pair because the river ace seemed to scare him. He folds. Wow, amazing. He found the button. I'm gonna continue opening almost any of my buttons, 95% of my buttons, even if he carries on 3-betting me a lot. Why will I carry on? Because I think I'm better than him, so I want to play hands, and I want him to continue a 3-betting strategy. I defend 10-8 here, and I flop open-ended straight. 7 or jack gives me the straight. The jack comes, the turn, I bet he folds. Yeah, so I want him to continue 3-betting me. I absolutely don't want him to stop his 3-betting strategy. That's why I'm gonna continuously open my button, but as I said it before, I will min raise in order to not to have too many losses, not to lose too many dollars this way. I defend 10-8 suited and I flopped nothing. I noticed that he had opened with a 3-bet, with a 3 blinds open, and I think it was the first time. Maybe I'm wrong at this point. Queen 10, open min raise. He 3-bets, Queen 10. Let's see. He 3-bets 40% of his hand, which is a ton. It's a lot. It's a lot. 40% of his hand. You'll face very few players, very few opponents 3-betting so much. Now our task is to know what kind of hands is he 3-betting with. We've got 9s. I 3-bet him. I found a pretty good flop with only one overcard, so I c-bet. I make a pause there. I c-bet because the flop is good. The flop is good for my hand. I've got the second pair. Yeah, maybe he's got a queen, but maybe he's got an 8 too. And maybe he's got nothing, and maybe he's got overcards like King 10, King Jack, Jack 10. So I don't want to let him hit his cards, and moreover this continuation bet will give me some information about his hand. So let's see. I see bet, he calls, so he can have almost anything. Well, I mean, all the hands I said previously would probably call on this flop. I mean, an 8, a queen, of course, a draw, a flush draw, maybe probably a straight draw too, something like 10-9 or Jack 10 or Jack 9. I've got a pair of 9s, so there's only 2 9 cards remaining in the deck, so there's very few possibilities that he's got 9. But yeah, he could have Jack 10. He could also float me with something like King Jack, King 10, Ace X, Ace 10, no, Ace Jack. So even if he called me, I think his range is pretty weak here at the turn, because the turn with these 3, the turn didn't help. The turn absolutely didn't help him. So I still think my hand is very good there. I'm gonna check, and of course I'm gonna check call, because my plan, well, as I said, I think that my hand is still very good. Of course, if he's got a queen, I'm dead, but it's only a little part of his range, and he bets 1/3 of the pot, which is not much. Now I still think my hand is ahead of his range. I still think I've got the best hand, and I want to increase the pot a little bit. I want to win a bigger pot with this hand. The pot now is 300 euros, 304 euros exactly. And if I check, he might bet. He might bet with the hands that beat me, like a queen. Of course, if he had a set of 8s, for example, which is not very likely, but if he had it now, he's got a full house, he beats me, of course. If he had a 2, but I don't see many hands in his range with a 2. But if he had a 2, now he beats me. If he had a backdoor flush draw with the spades, now he's got his flush, so he beats me. But I still think I'm ahead. And I want to get some more dollars, some more euros in this case. So either if I bet he won't call me, he probably won't call me with the hands I beat. I don't think he would call me with an 8. I don't think he would call me with ace high or king high or jack high. So he would only call me with the hands that beat me. So I don't have to bet. Either a check, or if I check, of course, I check because I want him to bet, and then I would call, so it would be a check call. Or I bet just a little bit. I mean, it's an induced bet. It's a very, very important point in this hand. I want to bet just a little bit to let him think that I'm very weak. I'm very weak, and I'm absolutely not confident in my hand. So I chose to min bet, which means bet only one blind, almost nothing. This message is the message with this bet is, look, buddy, I'm weak. You know I'm weak. Let's not hurt each other. We're friends, we're buddies. Please, let's stay here and see the showdown. That's the meaning of this min bet. And what I expect him to do is to think exactly what I've just said and think, well, if Bingo, which is my username, if Bingo thinks that, then this means that he's weak, so I have to raise him because I want to win the pot. And that's what he did, I think, as far as I can remember. So my plan is to call. If he goes all in, I don't know, maybe I could think about it once again, but he bet a little bit under half pot. We had seen him betting half pot. You know, you see that the mouse goes pretty quickly to the call button, but I thought about it once again to make sure, and yeah, he had Jack 10, which is the hand we thought he had. So now we have taken him something like 500 euros. This doesn't mean much except that we are going to have the momentum, which means that we're going to be ahead during this match, and he might tilt, he might play bad because he wants to take his money back, and that's pretty good for us. So now, this was the other kind of adjustment I talked about earlier. I had ace 4. I'm gonna put it once again, and he 3-bet me once again. We have already talked about that. That is 3-betting a lot, and I said that there was another adjustment possible apart from what I did with my Jack 7, is the 4-betting light. I choose the 4-bet light here because I had an ace, so my hands got some sort of value, some sort of showdown value, and I want to pressure him. I want to put pressure on his 3-bets so that he knows that he can't 3-bet always, without feeling a threat. I put him a green light because I think this opponent is gonna be fun. I like him. Have ace queen. I can't call because my ace queen dominates his range. Or I can 4-bet again. I 4-bet bluff 2 minutes ago, so now it's good to 4-bet for value because I want him to 5-bet shove his stack with nothing. I defend 10-9. I hit the second pair. He has not continuation bet on the flop, so I think my pair of 9 is good. That's why I bet on the turn, and there's no reason to think that he could have a queen in his range, because moreover most of the queens would have bet the flop on a jack 9 something board. He min bets. We've got ace deuce suited, which is good enough to call, to defend of course. Any ace in this case would be good to defend. I choose to check call the flop because on such a board, on 9-9-4 board, well, most of the time my hand will be best because he's opening all his hands, almost 100% of his hands, and against this range, my ace high is best. I turned a very good card because I had the flush draw on the turn, and I had also the get shot with the 3 that would have given me the straight. So if he had bet the turn, I would have either called or check raised, I think. Well, for sure I would not have folded. And I bet on the river because I don't want to be beaten by a better ace, for example, a hand like ace 10, ace jack. Yeah. And I didn't want him to see my hand, but he called with ace high and we split the pot. I open a3. I choose to delay my c-bet. I might have bet the turn because he looked weak, but okay. I abandoned. I 3-bet with 5-4. You can't always 3-bet with only your good hands because I 3-bet 13% in this match until now, which is not a lot. But yeah, you can't always only 3-bet with your good hands, big pairs, premiums, etc. because it would be too easy for him to read you. So you have to 3-bet 2 with other hands like 5-4, etc. But he 4-bet me, so he had probably a better hand, and I folded. Alright, a note. Open raise amount reflects hand strength. It's a question, and yeah, I think that maybe his open raise amounts reflect his hand strength. I'll have to watch out. King 3, I open it, of course. He's 3-betting. Look, I thought exactly the same. He's 3-betting 50%, which is a ton of hands. It's way too many hands. So this is one of his main leaks. I mean, in this game, I have to be very, very bad to let him win the match with his strategy. You can only 3-bet 50% of your hands if you're facing a very bad opponent. So I defend a6, I flop top pair on a scary flop, but well, he checks back and I bet the turn he folds. He had nothing. Open min raise queen 6 and fold versus a 3-bet. This is gonna be fun, yeah, of course. That's what I write because I feel that's what I felt during the match, and yeah, this opponent doesn't seem to be very good. He doesn't adapt until now. He has not changed his game since we started the match, so considering that he continuation bet pair of 3 on this board with 3 overcards and he abandoned. Pretty strange play. I 4-bet light, ace high, once again like my ace 4 earlier. It's the same thought, the same strategy. He's 3-betting light, so I'm gonna 4-betting light. I'm going to 4-bet him light. To make pressure. The heads-up game is a pressure game. It's a psychological game. He's going to spew, that's the note I write. And yeah, I think if he doesn't adapt his game, he's gonna continue losing money. And as he's a regular, I mean a professional poker player, he won't like it. So I think his head is gonna start burning and he's gonna spew, he's gonna tilt. So yeah, that's why I wrote earlier that it would be fun. He only folds 33% of his hands versus my 3-bets. I folded 6-4 against a 3-bet because I could have called, but the type of hand you want to defend versus such a 3-bet range will be the easy hand to play with. I mean the Broadway cards, big Broadway cards like King Queen, King Jack, Queen Jack. When you've got two hands which are, or two cards, sorry, which are above the 10. Maybe any ace high card. Maybe not something below, something under ace 8. Maybe your hands under ace 8 you're gonna 4-bet light with, but not defend it by calling. Yeah, I write note is 3-betting 50% and it check calls ace high boards, which is a bit strange because when you think about it, if he's 3-betting 50% of his hands, he should 3-bet a lot of ace high cards for value. Ace high, ace x, all his ace x hands. I defend king 8 and I flop trips. I call to look quick, which, yeah, I've shown him earlier that I could call him with ace high, but I think he's got nothing and he's gonna abandon this hand. So I bet only 9 in a 36 euros pot, but I thought he had nothing. It would be hard to to get a call. Pair of 7, you can 3-bet it or you can just call it. Most of the time I prefer to just call. Versus an opponent who min raise, you could 3-bet. He's c-betting 2/3 of the times. I can call once and see what he's doing on the turn. He checks the turn, the 9, which is not a bad card, a good card for me. And he could have a 9. His play, he could have 10-9, Queen-9. He could have a 9, but yeah, I think the basic play is to fold. But the big question is, what is he c-betting with? Yeah, you see, I was going to fold, but I thought about it once again, and the big question is, what is he c-betting with? Is he c-betting with his maidens, with his draws, with everything, with his rags? At this point, I don't know much, but what kind of hand could he bet on the flop and check on the turn and bet on the river? Of course, any 9, as I said, 10-9, Queen-9, and that's about it. All his rags with 9. His kings, like King, Queen, Ace, Queen, Ace, King, sorry, and so on. I don't think he would do that with his jacks. If he had a jack, I don't think he would do that. I also think that maybe his good hands, like overpairs, which means pair of aces, or his big kings, he would have bet it on the turn to protect, because it's not sure that this 9 would have helped me. Moreover, this turn adds a second club, so I might have a draw, a flush draw. So if he had a good hand on the turn, he should have bet it. So in fact, he's only representing a 9, a random 9. But if he c-bets, if he continuation bets on the flop, all his hands, even his rag hands, is 5-4, 7-8 is nothing. His ace deuce is nothing. Then on the river, he still has nothing a lot of the time. I mean, very often. And yeah, that's why I thought that maybe a call would have been better. And yeah, the answer is that is continuation betting any hand. Almost, well, I mean his rags is nothing. I've got aces. Oops. Pause, please. Yeah. We've got an opponent that who is 3-betting a lot. We've said it many times before during this video. So we can adjust by making expert moves, as we did with the Jack 7 at the beginning of the video. We can adapt by for betting light. For betting him light, we've done it twice with the Ace 4 and the Ace 5 off suit. Now with the Ace, we could carry on for betting him, because we have forbetted him 3 times, I think. Until now, this would have been the 4th time. But until now, he's always folded. He has always folded to our 4-bet. So I chose to only call. and hope he's gonna hit something and raise him probably on the flop and try to get it in with our pair of aces. But unfortunately, there are two bad news. The first bad news is that this flop is very bad for our hand, because even if he's got something like queen 10 with a queen or a 10 of clubs, he's got a lot of outs, and we're almost, maybe I'm still little favorite, but it's almost 50-50. It's gonna be something like 60% for me and 40% for him. So this flop could have given him a lot of equity that he didn't have before the flop. The second bad news is that he checks. He doesn't see bets, and that's bad news, because this means probably that he's not very confident with his hand, and yeah, those are two bad news. So he checks. I'm gonna bet for value because I believe in my hand, and he could check raise me. This would be hard to play if he check raised this hand, but he check calls. He can check call with any club, with any jack, with an 8. Yeah, with this turn, with which is a fourth club, my hand doesn't have a lot of value. So it's a bad turn, of course, and now I wanna check back both turn and river to see the showdown. Now I've got the board, I play the board, I've got a flush, the same flush, which we can see on the board. He checks. So he's very weak, I think, but he could go for a check call with a club if he's got a club under the 10 of club, for example, with the 10 or the 9, the 7 of clubs. Yeah, I could try to bluff. I could try to bluff him, but I think he's. I've got the momentum, and he's a bit tilted, I think, yet. He's already a bit tilted, so he could be very inclined to call me with any club. I chose to check back and split. And that's what happened. And unfortunately, he had top pair top kicker on the flop, but those three clubs scared him, and we couldn't go all in. I don't know if he would have shoved all in with his ace jack before the flop. In this case, if he had done it, I lost some value only cold calling in his 3-bet, but yeah, I think that was the good play in this case. His 10, if he 3-bets, we're gonna defend it, of course. Unfortunately, he doesn't, but he falls on the flop. I take the nod that he's 3-betting 6 big blinds with ace jack. Pair of kings. Please 3-bet me. Yeah, he's doing it. Okay, so now we've shown him that well, first we've shown him earlier that we were 4-betting a lot. We had already 4-betted him something like 3 times or 4 times. And we've just shown him that with our big aces, we were only calling. and he saw hands because we went to the showdown. So this might let him think that we are forbetting him as a bluff, and we are just calling his 3 bets with our big hands. That's why, with my pair of kings, I'm gonna forbet him because I want him to think that, in fact, I'm forbidding him as a bluff right now, and I want him to show light. I want him to send his stack to give me his stack with nothing, and he shows. And he had a pair of sevens. A pair of sevens is good to go all in versus some kind of opponents, but versus me, I don't know. He has not seen me. Well, I guess he thought exactly what I said earlier, that maybe thinking at the first level, I mean, exactly what I said earlier, that yeah, I had forbade him with I forbade him with rags and bluffs, and so if I forbade there, he can shove his pair of sevens, which still has a good equity versus a wide range of hands. But yeah, he was wrong there. King 10, I defend, I check call once. I check call the flop because I might have the best hand with my king high. Second, I have the gut shot. I could also go for a check raise or the donk lead, but we have not donk lead yet. I fold the turn because I could check raise. But yeah, in this match I don't need to make such plays because I'm dominating him a lot. He 3-bets, we defend Jack 8 suited versus such a wide range of c-bet. I think it's the right play. The 4, so now if he's got a 5, he's got the straight, but are there many 5s in his range? No, because he's 3-betting half his hands. He might have anything. And we still have top pair. Now what? He c-bets. He 3-barrels. He 3-barrels small, very small. 84 euros in a 240 euros pot, so it's 1/3 of the pot. I have only 84 euros to pay to see the showdown. This will, well, I think maybe I'm beat most of the time, because moreover now the spades draw have come. So if he had the flush draw now, he's got the flush, but I think the flush he would have barreled it much stronger. He would have bet much more than 1/3 of the pot. Yeah, so my odds are I have to pay 84 and the pot is now 324, so the odds are 4-1 versus this opponent. I think I'm beat a lot of the time because he still bets the turn and the river, and I think it looks like a blocking bet. I think he's got a hand. He's got a good hand. He thinks he's got a good hand. He thinks he's ahead, but he wants to see a cheap showdown. That's the meaning of the blocking bet. And if he thinks he beats me on this board, with my weak top pair, I guess he's right. I guess he really beats me. But I've got such good odds that I can call, and at least I will see his hand, and this will give me information on, yeah, he had 5-4, so he had hit the straight on the flop, which is good. Uh, which is something good when you 3-bet with 5-4. So yeah, when I call there, it's both for, because yeah, I've got some showdown value, but it's also in order to know what is 3-betting me with, what kind of hand is 3-betting me with. Cheap information when you've got such pot odds. Queen 9, I defend, flop nothing, I fold. I don't need to try crazy things because I'm dominating this match. I've got the momentum, and that's why I fold here too when he's leading. Of course, he can lead this pot because most of the time I'll have nothing, but I don't need to make crazy things against him. I 3-bet ace jack for value, but he folds. I have not 3-bet a lot. I have not 3-bet enough. I c-bet my second pair of 4. He check calls. He maybe have an ace. He may have a 5. So I check back the turn and river. And he had called me with king high. He had queen 9. He had king 9, sorry. So yeah, he's calling me with nothing. Here, Marlu is opening. Let me explain that, because I know what's gonna happen there. Marlu opens almost all his hands. That's why I defend with h7 suited with it, which is a good hand. You don't have to 3-bet with h7 suited, just call to defend it. It's perfect. Now, he's opening all his hands, and on this flop is c-betting, but we have seen him c-bet earlier with nothing, and is c-betting something like 2/3 of the time, and in this 3-bet, in his c-bet range, there's is nothing. Is nothing hand. I mean, is king 3, is 8-7, is 5-4. So I chose to check raise him on this flop. Of course I have nothing. So, but his hand, even if he's got something like ace 9, ace 6, any ace, his hand is pretty weak. I mean, against my check raise, my check raise on the flop, my check raise range is, even if he's got two pairs, if he's got king 10 for example, his king 10 is 2-pair and looks pretty weak, because what can he beat? What kind of hand can I check raise with and he could beat? I don't check raise with ace queen, and probably I don't have ace queen because I would have 3-bet him before the flop. So when I check raise this flop, and if you consider that I have not 3-bet him earlier, I can only have ace 10, maybe king 10, but most of the time I will have queen jack for the nuts, for the straight. That's why I check raise. My plan is here is probably to 3-barrel him, because he could call me on the flop with jack 10, queen 10, well, with any pair with the get shot. But yeah, with this hand he will call me on the flop. He might call on the turn if he gets a flush draw, for example, to help him, or if he hits trips. But yeah, I think if the cards don't change the board, I mean, if there's a 5 and a deuce coming, or a 9 and a 6, so yeah, I think I would go for a 3-barrel there. Bet the turn and bet the river. Now, the turn, the turn can't help his hand, but the turn helps my hand a lot, because now I've got the flush draw and I've got the gut shot too, because now any club would give me the flush, but a 9 would also give me the straight, so my hand is much stronger now. And as my plan was anyway to continue to carry on betting on the turn, now this turn can only make me bet more. Sorry, I mean, it's a very good news. This turn is a very good news. I've got a lot of equity now. And he calls, and of course I river the flush. So I'm pretty, yeah, of course I'm happy. Now I will be ahead 95% of the time, but now I'm pretty scared, because well, scared, I mean, I think he can't call me with his hand is weak. His hand looks like a jack 10, a queen 10, no, sorry, it looked like a jack 10 or a queen 10 on the flop, but on the turn it looks like an ace that doesn't want to give up, an ace x, an ace 10 maybe, an ace queen, an ace jack, maybe a hand which would give him a pair and a flush draw. In this case, I'm beat, and that's not a good news. Something like jack 10 of clubs, queen 10 of clubs, ace x of clubs. But no, I'm not too scared about that. I'm only thinking that there's not many hands that he could have that could call me on the river now. So I'm gonna value bet, but I think he can't call me. So I value bet big, and he calls me pretty quickly. I value bet something like, well, the pot was 240, I think. It's gonna see that quickly. Yeah, check raise, because I'm the best. Come on, check raise, we said. Yeah. Come on. Sorry, I wanted to go quick. Yeah, anyway, blah blah blah. 100, yeah, the pot. Sorry for this. The pot was 240, and I bet 180, which is 3/4 of the time, 75% of the pot, and yeah, it's a pretty big bet, and there's, well, I mean, it's hard for him to call such a bet with an ace x. But, believe me or not, he had called me with ace 4. Ace 4. I mean, he only had top pair, naked ace-4. There was no draw, no flush draw, no nothing. He had ace-4 offsuit. So he had a weak top pair on the board, he had a weak top pair on the turn, and he hit, unluckily for him, but he hit, will we see that again? He hit his 2 pair on the river, because a 4 came on the river. No, I'm afraid we won't see that. And probably that's why he insta-called me. He insta-called me. Look, I'm gonna bet. And he calls instantaneously. So yeah, it's pretty bad, because even if he's got 2 pairs, I mean, what could he beat? Just nothing. So yeah, we won the hand, and I thought that he was about to tilt earlier. That's what I said, and now I think he's even closer to the tilt zone. Yeah, I wrote wow ace-4 because it was not a call. He could not call that with ace-4. It's a big mistake from him. I see bet with nothing, and yeah, of course I fold. There's no need to take risky lines. A6, I could defend, but he's opening 3 big blinds. I fold. A6 is the worst ace hand, ace type hand, because the 6 you can make any straight. Yeah, it was suited. I could have called maybe, but he's still 3-betting 50% of the time. That's what I check. I defend my ace type hand. So another way to fight the 3-betting opponents, the opponents that 3-bets a lot, is to bluff raise the flop. This flop is pretty dry. King 7-4, no flush draw. So either he's got a king or better, or what could he call me? He could call my raise with a 7. So you don't need to raise for a very expensive amount, just a bit more. And he called me. So yeah, what can he have? He could have a 7, a 4, he could have a king. But I thought that he could have any pair between 7 and the king. Something like 8s, 9s, 10s, jacks, maybe queens, don't know. So I went for a second barrel. The 3 gives me some equity, some showdown equity, because if the 5 comes, I can make the straight. But if he had a 6, he had a better straight. He would make a better straight. So I could represent 6-5 for the straight now. So now I expect him to fold or shove. And yeah, this little bet, I think was the best for this matter, for this strategy. The strategy was to put him in a spot where he either had to make a decision, the decision to shove or to fold, because he could not. It would be very hard for him to just call the turn, and what would he do on the river? I mean, there are draws now. There are the flush draws, the straight draw. So yeah, it was a shove or fold situation for him, and he thought about it a lot, and he decided to show. Maybe he had the nuts, maybe he had nothing, I don't know. I'm gonna stop. Of course I fold. I let some seconds go to let him think that it was a hard spot for me, but it was not, of course. I'm gonna stop and wrap up the video right now, because we've been talking about this video for 1 hour or so now, and yeah, we're gonna continue with the second part of the video later. If you've got some questions, some comments, if you want to say hello, if you want to say something, yeah, you know how to do. You go to my website, which is poker-coach.net, and yeah, you're gonna get every information about me, about my coaching packages. Yeah, you'll be able to discuss the video in a forum, and you can contact me by mail, by Twitter, by Facebook, everything. Well, guys, see you, enjoy, good luck at the tables, and I'm gonna come back soon with the second part of this video, and it's gonna be fun. I can tell you, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Bye.